So you wanted to talk about the Enneagram? Yes, that's right. There, you see?
See what?
The Anunnaki, of course. Your producer, Neil Fox, has aligned every point of G.I. Gurdjieff's Enneagram with an Egyptian god, the top 9 gods of the Anunnaki. That's what the Enneagram is really all about for him, you know. The evil Anunnaki space aliens.
Well, the Anunnaki are from Sumerian mythology, not from Egypt. And which Ennead, which group of 9 are we talking about here? There were actually 15 deities associated with the Karnak Ennead, which would be Gurdjieff's Ennead, not just the core 9. Besides, even if there were a correlation between Egypt and Sumer, Fox doesn't see a coherent link between any Ennead and what your sort of thinking makes of the Anunnaki.
Oh, blah, 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 blah. Why do you have to make it so complicated? Face it, he's flaunting his allegiance to the elite of the reptilian space aliens who control his brain.
I'm sorry, I'm just not buying that.
I tell you, there will be an invasion, and in a matter of days, Neil Fox will be made the provisional ruler of Pasadena.
Pasadena? Who would want Pasadena?
Fox is determined to have Pasadena.
But why?
Why? I don't know why. They don't think like us. They're reptiles.
Yes, and hello from your Uncle Lucifer, here today to wrap it up about G.I. Gurdjieff's reference to his mythical Sarmoung Brotherhood, which he mentions in his meetings with remarkable men. I have gone over the number values that would be strongly and unambiguously associated with the unknown word Sarmoung as it relates to the Khwajagan sect of the Naqshbandi Sufis, insofar as it would be rendered by the abject numeral systems of the Persian and Arabic languages, as well as how it would be rendered by the way of Russian gematria. This I did in my last video, Lucifer on Sarmoung. Of course, not all the languages that might be brought into the subject of Sarmoung need be about numbers. In an earlier webcam, key to Gurdjieff 2, Fox pointed out that Sarmoung can be rearranged as an anagram to spell Sargon Mu. Sargon was an ancient Akkadian king, Sargon the True, living over 4,000 years ago. Sargon is the anglicization of Saru from the illustrious title Saru Kinu, which means the true king, but then Saru also means imposter, so it could be read as true imposter. An irony that no doubt amused G, who surely considered himself an imposter in fact, perhaps, but never an imposter in truth. A sometimes dramatic, but more often somewhat comical contrast to all the impostors in fact and in truth with whom he was in competition in the marketplace of ideas. Sargon or Saru, king or imposter, is coupled here with Mu, the Akkadian word for water. Be it taken as water king or water imposter, Assyria was not a water kingdom. So the allusion is no doubt to G's concept of Atlantis as the true origin of the knowledge that he associates with the Sarmoung Brotherhood. Rearranging it thus as Sargon gives us Sargon Day or Day of Sargon, the time of Sargon, or, more accurately, the time of the king or the time of the imposter, one or the other, or perhaps both. Sargon/Sargon Mu, the time, if you will, of Atlantis. Finally, let us turn to the word that Sarmoung is supposed to be all about, namely the Persian word Sarman, that I went over in my previous video. If we revisit Sarman's 2 phonemes, we have the Babylonian word Sar, which means volume, and the Akkadian man, a suffix that means without or un, as in unkind or uncool or whatever. Thus Sarman might be read as unvolume, without volume. Well, my friends, what is without volume is without physical existence. This is G's playful hidden way of implying that the Sarmoung Brotherhood did not and does not and has never existed. At least on the face of it, one would have to say it did not and does not and has never existed. So, was he lying in his meetings with remarkable men when he made up some name and told tales about a mysterious secret society? Did not the old man love his father dearly and remember him as a remarkable man? Of course he did. Did he not have remarkable friends who sought out the truth of things, even as he himself did? Yes, he did. Did he know remarkable Sufis? He knew many remarkable Sufis. Did he travel extensively and meet with various other remarkable teachers? There can be no doubt of it. So then, was everything he recounted in his book a hard fact? Hardly. More often than not, the old man comes up a transparent fraud when it is about much of anything fantastic to be taken as cold fact. And that includes secret societies said to have stretched back to ancient Babylon. Even if he had come across such societies, he would have lied about the details enough to discredit himself with the usual fact-checkers. He would have done this to ensure that the secret society in question stayed secret. So, no one intelligent takes meetings with remarkable men as anything but an autobiographical sort of allegory. But that must never be taken to mean that he was not among the most evolved impostors of his time, as opposed to all those self-deceived impostors and their delusional lies, to say nothing of the cynics and their self-serving lies. Our Mr. G told true lies. And so will you, dear viewers, once you experience unvolume as the bottom line to your very existence. Which is to say, there is no bottom line to your existence at all.
Unvolume without volume. That's the crux of the whole thing. In terms of you fold time, you're going to fold space, inevitably. And pretty strange things happen. I can't begin to tell you. So let me tell you something somebody told me when I was working in at Wrigley's in Santa Cruz. Wrigley's gum, packing gum. That's a pretty surreal experience, working a summer temp job at Wrigley's. It's the stuff of which Talking Heads album is made, okay? A David Byrne concept song. But you know, it's Santa Cruz, and there are people who are mellow and cool, but side by side with the geekiest, most cartoonish people you've ever met in your life. But hey, you know, the Simpsons, right? But this guy he's a regular guy. He's a NASCAR dad. He liked to race cars, and we got to talk, and everybody talks at Wrigley's because it passes the time. If you don't talk, the time just crawls by, okay? It was just, ugh. It's a factory job, you know, and but still, they're friendly people, and you just get to gabbing, and you just talk about anything. And there's always students and stuff who just want to talk about your politics or philosophy or something, interesting stuff. And then there's the chit chat. And this guy, you know, he picked up on he dealt a lot with temporaries, so he dealt with students and stuff, and he liked it because it was their level of conversation was always a little more, you know, awake. Some of the people who were, you know, lifers there at the gum factory. Not that I'm putting down everybody I met there. That's overgeneralizing. But, you know, we got to talking, and we got to be reasonably good friends. They are work-type friends. I can't remember his name, but that's me with anybody. Names just slip my mind, but I do remember him. And he told me about this thing he had when he was racing a car. The car spun out of control, and he was about to die, okay? And then the next minute, he's in the fetal position in a cloud of dust, feeling calmer and more relaxed than he's ever felt before. Not a scratch on him. He hears some kind of voice. I don't really remember what the voice told him, but it was like, you know, it's okay, you're all right, that kind of thing. And then people gathered around him, and his car was demolished, and somehow he just unstrapped himself, jumped out of the car, and rolled into this fetal position. He wasn't the same for weeks afterward. He was very calm. It wasn't shock, because shock has a delayed reaction thing. He never had that. He felt very good. And it opened his mind to the unknown. And he talked to someone else later on who'd had a similar experience with an accident. And they were, you know, in the car, and then they're not in the car. And that person interpreted it as Jesus saved him, you know, because he believed in Jesus. Or I think it was a woman. She believed in Jesus, and she was saved. And by the end had this vision, and he felt that, well, that's not what I'm about. But he figured if that's what someone believes, then that's the experience would conform to that expectation. It's Jesus, right? God is stepping in. And then he had some other experiences that were more, to me, explainable, psychic experiences, astral things that anybody has. And he became more and more open to that kind of thing. But those things have, you can have a model of how you hang your hat on that, okay? A map of how that works and what that suggests about reality. But something just completely impossible, like I'm, here 1 minute and then I'm over here in the next. I mean, the only explanation I could get is that for him, time slowed down, and he just, like in a movie, you see an accident and everything slows down, and he just unstrapped himself and just jumped out, perfectly rolled, and was still. And it was just like a freeze frame kind of experience where he was moving a little faster than the frame. And I had that going up that hill that I described in my, Lucifer on Sarmoung video that I just did recently. And it really was like I was passing through time, but I don't really say that I did because it was just so subjective. Still, I was awake the whole time. I was conscious, and I just took a few steps, and I thought that was at the foot of the hill, and then I'm at the top of the hill. And prior to that, years prior to that, I'd had an experience where something just, you can't possibly explain what that was. It was freaky. I don't ever tell anybody about it. And, one part of you is excited that something impossible could happen, and another part is just like, no way, never again. I don't want this. Give me nice, predictable reality. I try to tell that to people, who haven't been there, and they don't accept that you could have that reaction. But I became more accepting when I realized, okay, this guy is not Captain Psychic, and this can happen to him, and this other thing happened to me, and I did go up that hill, and that was pretty unusual, and I was okay with that. And I became more and more open to things. And of course, the more open you are and the more prepared you are for that kind of event.
On volume without volume. Theoretically, to fold time is to fold space. Objective time calculation, so-called, is predicated on the understanding that time is relative. And since time has no meaning outside the continuums of space, then space, too, is relative, and governed by laws as contingent as those as might apply to time. Hence those laws may well come with some fine print that eludes human understanding, as human understanding is normally understood. As humans on this planet become more and more estranged from their environment and from nature, they become more estranged from one another, and needless to say, even more estranged from what they really are inside. More so than they have ever been in the past. It is not just your Arctic region that is melting, any more than it is just your global economic system that is coming unraveled. Your basic system of reality itself is falling apart. Miracles will indeed fall through the cracks to amaze and to frighten those who bear witness. I have yet to say very much about the fear that usually comes of this, the fear that most individuals will experience, including Fox, if only initially. But I really should say something about it sometime, since sadly in the coming days and generations, fear will predominate. Both the fear on the one hand, and on the other, the wonder of such phenomena will certainly include perfectly ordinary people, if anyone can really be said to be ordinary. The mean average, let's say, millions of such everyday sorts of folks, I assure you. It is happening now and will continue to happen and to increase as time goes by. Now, you can be content to be viewed as a sad collection of lab animals and sundry pets, as it were, or you can at least try to become more open to the idea of evolving into that which might someday equal those who watch. You need only to be on the path and resolve to stay on the path, for the path to take you where you'll need to be as time runs out. The choice is yours.